The Bear Claw Ridge Reservation was a place that wore its history like a well-worn blanket, comforting and yet full of memories. It was in this place that Tahoma, a young Native American boy of 12, stumbled upon something that would change his life forever. While exploring the deep woods near his home, Tahoma found an ancient artifact, a small totem carved from bone and adorned with markings that told a tale as old as the land itself. A glimmer of recognition sparked in his eyes as he picked it up. It felt both familiar and foreign, like a forgotten song from his ancestors. But this song carried a dark melody. The very night Tahoma found the totem, whispers spread across the reservation about a strange bear sighting, a creature too large, too grotesque to be a mere animal. Its movements were uncanny, its eyes filled with a malevolent intelligence. Days turned into weeks, and the sightings grew in number. Stories began to circulate about a bear that stood like a man, ran as fast as a car, its twisted form haunting the shadows of the reservation. Bodies began to appear, mauled and broken. Tahoma's older brother Ashki became obsessed with the rumors. He would sit by the fire recounting the old legends of skinwalkers, witches who could take on the appearance and power of animals. The fear in Ashki's eyes unnerved Tahoma, but the bond between the brothers was strong, and Tahoma trusted him implicitly. "I feel it watching us, Tahoma," Ashki whispered one night, his eyes wide with terror. "The Skinwalker. It's here. The old legends speak of artifacts that hold the power to stop them. We must find a way." As the rumors turned to panic, the strange-looking bear was seen more frequently, and Tahoma's dread grew. He felt eyes on him, an oppressive presence that clawed at his mind. The artifact, hidden away in his room, seemed to hum with a dark energy. Tahoma's nightmares grew more vivid, filled with images of a bear whose skin hung down over a face he could not quite make out. Was it human, or was it dead bear flesh? The terror was palpable, yet the face remained elusive, always just out of sight. Then the unthinkable happened. Ashki was found dead, his body torn and mangled, a grim testament to the Skinwalker's wrath. The grief was overwhelming, a wound that no time could heal. Tahoma's desperation turned to determination. He remembered his brother's words, his warning about the artifact's power. Tahoma knew what he had to do. The final showdown came on a cold, moonlit night. The Skinwalker had been watching, waiting, and now it emerged from the shadows, a monstrosity that defied nature. It was a bear, but not a bear. Its eyes were human, filled with a dark hunger. Its skin hung in tattered layers, half decayed and melded with flesh that seemed both man and beast. The grotesque details were a horrifying sight, as claws, teeth, and twisted limbs merged into a single abomination. The battle was brutal. Tahoma fought with the fury of grief and love, the artifact pulsing in his hand. The Skinwalker's strength was immense, its movements unnatural, a dance of death that left Tahoma battered and bleeding. In a desperate moment, Tahoma remembered something Ashki had said, a phrase in their native language that he had whispered like a prayer. As he spoke the words, the artifact glowed with an ethereal light, a force that seemed to pierce the very soul of the Skinwalker. The creature howled in agony, its form writhing and twisting as the ancient power of the artifact tore it apart. The battle raged, a clash of wills that left Tahoma on the brink of death, his strength waning, his hope fading. But he fought on, driven by the memory of his brother, the love of his family, the heritage of his people. With a final cry, the Skinwalker collapsed, its form disintegrating into a mass of flesh and bone, the witch's curse broken, the terror vanquished. Tahoma's triumph was bittersweet. He had defeated the Skinwalker, but at a cost that would haunt him forever. He returned to his family, the artifact once again hidden away, its power a reminder of the thin line between the world of the living and the dark shadows that lurk just beyond. The Bear Claw Ridge Reservation returned to its quiet existence, but the memory of the Skinwalker's terror lingered, a haunting melody that would never be forgotten. And Tahoma, forever marked by the battle, would carry the scars and the wisdom of a boy who faced the unimaginable and emerged a warrior. A warrior who knew that legends live, that nightmares are real, and that the bond of family is the strongest magic of all.
I still remember the way Tom's eyes sparkled as he told us about the perfect camping spot. We were all so eager for an adventure. Me, Tom, Laura, and Jake. 4 college friends, eager to explore the wild and mysterious lands near the ancient reservation. Our first night was magical. We were wrapped up in our own little world, sharing laughter and stories. The fire danced, the stars twinkled, and everything felt perfect. But as the night wore on, I couldn't shake the feeling that something was watching us. The darkness beyond the fire seemed alive, and I could feel a chill creeping down my spine. Tom, always the strong and brave leader of our group, brushed off my concerns. He said it was just the wilderness playing tricks on us, but his eyes betrayed a hint of doubt. That night I had a nightmare. A vision so grotesque it made my skin crawl. A creature, half man, half deer, stalked me through the dark forest. Its face was an abomination, a melding of human and deer with bloodshot eyes and antlers sharp as knives. Its body was twisted, and it moved with an unnatural grace. I woke up screaming, my heart pounding, the image seared into my mind. The others comforted me, but I could see the fear in their eyes. The next day, we tried to forget the nightmare and enjoy our adventure. But the feeling of being watched never left me. The forest seemed to whisper, shadows lurking just beyond our sight. Then Laura was killed. We found her body torn and mangled. Panic set in, and our adventure turned into a nightmare. The wilderness had become a hunting ground, and we were the prey. Jake was next. He ventured into the forest, hoping to find help, but his screams echoed through the night. We found his body, a grim testament to the Skinwalker's wrath. Tom's face was pale, his eyes haunted, but he held me, reassured me. His strength was my anchor. And then there were two. We knew the Skinwalker was watching, waiting. Its presence was oppressive, its eyes burning into our souls. Tom's strength was unwavering, but I could see the fear in his eyes. We kept the fire burning, weapons close at hand, our minds filled with terror. The final battle came on the third night. The Skinwalker emerged from the shadows, a nightmarish fusion of man and deer. Its antlers were deadly weapons, its claws twisted and grotesque. Tom fought with all his might, his hatchet clashing with the creature's antlers. Their battle was brutal, a dance of death that left me paralyzed with fear. They attacked each other, back and forth, their movements a blur of violence. Tom's body was battered, but his determination never faltered. I watched, tears in my eyes, my heart pounding as they fought. And then, in a moment of victory, Tom struck a blow that seemed to defeat the Skinwalker. The creature collapsed, writhing in agony. Tom stood victorious but broken. I ran to him, relief flooding through me. The nightmare was over, but the Skinwalker had one last trick. In a final act of malevolent cunning, its antler found Tom's gut, impaling him in a fatal blow. His eyes widened in shock, and I screamed, my mind shattering. I held Tom as he died, his eyes filled with pain, his body broken. His last words were a whisper, a plea for me to run. With a strength born of desperation, I ran. The forest was a blur, the Skinwalker's presence a shadow that lingered just out of sight. I could feel its eyes on me, its malevolent intelligence watching, waiting. But I ran, my body fueled by terror, my mind numb. I stumbled out of the wilderness, my body aching, my mind broken. I was alive, but the cost was too great. The memory of my friends, their laughter, their love haunts me still. The image of the Skinwalker's twisted face is a nightmare that will never leave me. I know it's still out there, watching, waiting. A legend that lives, a terror that stalks the shadows. And I will never forget the way Tom's eyes sparkled, the way his strength held me, the way he fought, and the way he died. The wilderness holds secrets that are best left undiscovered, nightmares that are real, and legends that live. And I will never be the same again.
In the beginning, it was just curiosity. The old legends of the Skinwalkers, those mystical beings who could transform into animals, always fascinated me. The stories were dark and thrilling, filling my mind with wonder and fear. It started with a book, an ancient tome filled with rituals and spells that spoke of a path to unimaginable power. The pages were old, the words were cryptic, but something about them called to me. I was entranced, unable to resist the pull of the forbidden. The desire to understand, to become something more, consumed me. Slowly, I began to experiment. I would chant the spells, perform the rituals, and feel a strange sensation creeping through my veins. A power, dark and intoxicating, began to grow within me.
My humanity started to slip away. I would catch myself staring at the people around me, seeing them not as fellow human beings but as prey. My thoughts became twisted, filled with dark desires and insatiable hunger. The transformation began. I could feel my body changing, my bones shifting, my muscles contorting. The sensation was agonizing yet exhilarating. I was becoming something else, something more. Half man, half wolf. The feeling was indescribable. The power, the strength, the primal instinct. I could run faster, see farther, hear the faintest whispers of the wind. But the hunger, oh, the hunger. It was insatiable, a constant gnawing in the pit of my stomach that demanded to be fed. And then I saw them. The perfect target. An unsuspecting family living in a remote house on the edge of the reservation. They were ideal for the ritual, the final step in my transformation. I watched them, stalking them from the shadows, my mind consumed with dark thoughts. The father, strong and protective. The mother, nurturing and kind. The children, innocent and pure. I could see their lives, their joys, their fears. I could feel their emotions, taste their essence. They were mine for the taking. The ritual required a sacrifice, a life taken in the most brutal and terrifying way. The family was perfect, each member a piece to a dark and twisted puzzle. I planned, I waited, I hungered. And then the night came, the perfect night for the ritual. The moon was full, the wind was howling, and the world was ready for my ascension. I approached the house, my body half man, half wolf, my mind filled with dark anticipation. The power was pulsing through me, urging me on, demanding the sacrifice. But then the twist. As I entered the house, ready to fulfill my dark destiny, I stumbled upon a hidden room. A room filled with symbols, spells, and rituals. A room that mirrored my own dark journey. The family, the perfect unsuspecting family, was not what they seemed. They were practitioners of the dark arts, followers of the same twisted path that had consumed me. I was stunned, my mind reeling from the revelation. The hunger was still there, the desire still burning, but something had changed. I realized with a shock that shook me to my core that I was not the predator. I was the prey. The family was waiting for me, their eyes filled with dark knowledge, their bodies ready for the ritual. They had known all along that I was coming. They had planned, prepared, and lured me in. The tables were turned and I was trapped. The battle that followed was brutal and terrifying. The family was skilled, their magic strong, their hunger as insatiable as mine. We fought, half human, half beast, our bodies clashing, our magic colliding, our desires entwined. The house was filled with the sounds of our battle, the clash of claws, the howl of wolves, the scream of dark magic. And then, in a moment of desperation, I understood. The family was not my enemy. They were my salvation. I had become lost, consumed by the dark path, my humanity twisted and broken. The family in their own twisted way had shown me the truth. I was not meant to be a skinwalker. I was not meant to be a monster. I was meant to be human. In a final act of defiance, I turned on the family, using the dark magic against them, destroying them in a burst of power that left me drained and broken. I stumbled out of the house, my body battered, my mind shattered. The hunger was gone, replaced by a profound emptiness. I had won, but at what cost? The path to becoming a skinwalker had been a dark and twisted journey, a journey that had nearly consumed me. But in the end, I had found my way back. I was human again, but forever changed. The old legends of the skinwalkers still call to me, still haunt my dreams. But I know now that some paths are best left untraveled, some desires best left unfulfilled. For the darkness is always there, waiting, watching, ready to consume. And I will never forget the night I almost lost myself. The night I became half man, half wolf. The night I faced the dark truth. I will never forget the family, the twist, the battle. And I will never forget the feeling of being human again. The world is full of darkness and mystery, of legends and nightmares. But in the end, it's our humanity that defines us, our choices that shape us, and our desires that guide us. And I will never forget the night I chose to be human.